So how did I take these thrifted found items like this and turn them into this? This is what today's video is all about. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Yvonne from Ginger Chick Rehab. I'm so glad to have you back and checking out what I am up to today. And so in today's video, I am bringing you one of my thrift haul flips. So last week I brought you my thrift haul. This week actually is going in order. I was super excited to get some of the items done, so I kind of didn't work on my hoard and went right straight to what I brought you last week in my thrift haul. So I'm going to be sharing the process of what I do to these items to get them ready to resell, my vision and my how-tos of how I go about it. So if you watched my last week's thrift haul, you'll recognize a lot of these items. So pretty much all these items are from my last week's thrift haul. And then there are a few little extras because, you know, I can't help myself but going in and out of that thrift store. My car just drives itself there every time in town. So there are a few little extras that I want to get made over for you all. So right off the bat, I'm going to be working on this weather vane. Even though my wonderful viewer shared with me that the weather vane's not supposed to be together, it's supposed to move in the wind. But I find that it was hard to handle, hard to pick up. I may think that not everybody would know that too. So unfortunately, before I even had aired the thrift haul video, I had already JB welded because I knew that that needed to set up, and I definitely wanted to get this out for resale. If you don't know what JB welded is, it's a 2-part epoxy. You can buy it like this. I've used this tube many a times. As long as you clean that tip off before putting the tip back on, you have multiple uses on this. So it's a 2-part epoxy. I put it on a paper plate. I mixed it up with just a popsicle stick. And then now I'm just gingerly going and try not to gob on it too much. A little bit goes a long way, but I know that it's going to take a good day before I want to play with it. So I want to make sure that it's getting all set up. So I'm just taking all those pieces and parts and yep, I'm welding them together, you guys. I know if somebody's sad that I didn't leave the parts moving, but I didn't know at this point. Plus it just, like, the whole thing just collapses on you. So I'm not sure a lot of people actually know that that was supposed to be free flowing like this. And I do think this one's a decorative piece. It's not an antique by any means, especially with that paint job. And now I'll go ahead and get the rest of the pieces cleaned, even though I just meant to. I forgot that I'd already mixed up the detergent, the Superclean in the bucket. I got a little bit more there. So yeah, just some Superclean and some hot water. I'm just going to get all these items cleaned up and get these tags removed. Sometimes I need the assistance of a heat gun on these metal items when the tags don't want to come off. You just kind of be creative what you can do to get rid of these tags. I do always giggle when I come across an item like this, see how they had been creative because they didn't like the yeah, it's interesting how people hang stuff. So I definitely like to put my own, I call it common sense hanging system, something that's easy for buyers to hang easily. And then my sweet viewer Leslie shared with me that this is a very nice brand of outdoor furniture or retail sales, and I could tell that this welcome sign was just, it wasn't your flimsy old just pick up at the dollar store by any means. It is absolutely beautiful, and I can tell you that these little felt things did not want to come off. And I do believe that they also sell a few of the pieces at Target, so this could have been just a Target piece, but this was definitely, once you touched this welcome sign, you knew this was a nice heavy metal. So now I'm just really trying to get that sticky off. Oh my gosh, it just did not. These were actually supposed to be the felt pieces, I believe, for the bottom of chairs, but you know, everybody does what, you know, we use what we have, and they didn't want whatever they had it rubbing on it. So after I got the most layer of this off, I ended up using some Goo Be Gone to help me get the rest of that sticky off. And now that I got everything finally all cleaned up, I'm going in and getting them spray painted. So a lot of these items are getting that undercoat. I know y'all are my regular viewers are like, yep, we know your routine. I guess I'm just a creature of habit, but this back is burgundy, and so I have to cover up this back also. So it's my Rust-Oleum paint and primer in one, and the flat back is usually my go-to, but I may start thinking of something else. I know a lot of people are like, why don't you just have a sprayer full of just the black? I don't know, I know the cost of spray paint is going up. I just like the versatility that it covers everything, especially metals and plastics. So I don't know, I am a creature of habit, but I may use up what I have and see what else there is out there. If anybody has any suggestions of something that I can spray on, especially when it comes to cubbies or all this detail work, I definitely like to be able to spray it on. And I know that this tier tray was already black, but you still need something for your paint to stick onto, so spraying it is. And I feel like I've got the spray can down to a science, so if I put paint into a sprayer, will I be able to get as smooth of coverage as what I do when achieving with the spray can? Okay, so I got all my items sprayed the way that I needed to with the black on their underneath. I always try to get the most coverage on my first spray if I can. And then the nice thing about using a flat is that once it's dry, it's not shiny anymore. So now I need to go in and seal that black in. And I'm just using Rust-Oleum's clear coat in the flat sheen to get these sealed in. So just, giving a nice light misting on all these items just to make sure that my black is going to stay there. A lot of them I'm going to be painting another color over, which is white. Yeah, I know you guys like Yvonne, it's white. But yes, so I'm going to go ahead and get that black sealed in. Before moving on and getting the other side painted black, I need to seal this. It has a piece of paper on it, and I need to seal that piece of paper, and I can do two things. I can try to sand that off, which does metal really weird. So I've learned that if I just put a couple coats of shellac on that paper, that seals that in enough that I don't have any worries about that paper on that metal. But now I can flip the rest of it that needs the other side done and get that sprayed up black. Definitely like to be able to use a sprayer when it comes to cubbies like this, like that Kleenex box and this. I definitely like to be able to spray it. Getting a brush in there is not the easiest of tasks, so being able to spray it, yes, a little bit better for me. Now, I shared with you in my thrift haul that the set of these 3 paper flowers, oh my gosh, are just absolutely gorgeous, but I don't think the wood does anything for them. I don't think that it makes them look high-end. I don't think it makes that pop. It has a beautiful drop cloth linen on the back, and then it has that beautiful flower, but it just kind of, the frame takes away from it. It doesn't make it pop. So I'm going to go in, I'm taping off this glass, and I'm going to go in and paint these frames black to make that beautiful, there's just absolutely beautiful paper flowers pop. Now there are a few pieces that I'm just going to be leaving black and sealed in with that clear coat, but there are also some pieces, I know I'm going for that Rust-Oleum and that white linen. I just absolutely love being able to stress this paint. So I'm using my 360 TrueCoat Graco handheld sprayer. Just absolutely love this thing. You water down the paint a little bit to it's not laying on top of the other paint, and then it just devours getting these items all sprayed up. And I did tape the inside, as you see, of this Kleenex box. That way I didn't have to worry about painting it. I already gave it that fresh coat of black, so now I'm just painting it white. So have you all found a turntable to help you spray your items like this? Look at how not only does the sprayer help, but being able to turn it at a 360, it just absolutely helps devour these. I do have a few pieces that I'm going to be hand painting with Waverly's mineral chalk paint. I had a different vision for these, including this little terracotta chicken. I want to be able to make it look like a crockery, so that's why I undercoated it in black, and now I'm just going in. I'm not adding any texture to it, I'm just adding the mineral straight on. And then my vision for these big bald candlesticks, oh my gosh, I just fell in love with their uniqueness as is, but I wanted to do a little something special. I didn't want to just paint them just a white. I don't think that does them justice by any means. And I'm going to try to keep that top and the bottom black, so that's why I'm using some painter's tape and then kind of pushing it in there where the rod is all the way as close as I can get to, and then I'll go in and start hand painting these, actually with the mineral paint also. That all my other items have their first coat of paint on, I'm going to go ahead and get this ink Waverly chalk paint sealed in on these frames. So I'm just going to go in and just take this sponge applicator, just gingerly have poured a little bit of the polyacrylic out in a bowl, and then I'm just going to wipe it on, just something to seal that chalk paint in. And after a few hours, my white chalk paint is dry, and I can flip these items over and complete the other side. And I didn't get video of me doing this, but you already saw me painting enough as it is, so I just need to get every little crevice of these areas painted with that sprayer. Then I'm going to go in and get my second coat of my mineral paint put on, and what I do here is I have a little bowl of water, and I dip my paintbrush in the bowl of water to water it down a little bit, because chalk paint can be water distressed, and to get that nice smooth finish, just wetting down your brush, or some people use a sprayer, and that just gives you that nice smooth second coat. Then after an hour or so and that chalk paint is good and dry, I'm going to be sealing these in with some clear coat Rust-Oleum in the matte finish. I'm going to be doing some stamping on them, so I need to seal that chalk paint in. And I have a few other items that I need to get their chalk paint sealed in also to complete their finished look. Now we're going to flip back over to these cute, oh my gosh, just these beautiful flowers. So I'm going to go in with some 220 sandpaper. That top coat is good and dry, and I'm going to distress those edges. I really think some distressing on these edges, bringing that natural wood through, is really going to tie in with that paper. So just going in with the 220, hitting those sharp edges, letting that wood show through, and then I'll go back in with some steel wool and just smooth the rest of that finish down. And then to make them look a little bit more high-end, I am going to go ahead and use some of this Waverly antiquing wax. That's just going to take that black paint just to another level. It's going to really give it that aged look. It's going to pop that wood through that I distressed a little bit, and it's just going to tie in that paper. Now we're going to get these little birdies finished up, and I'm going to be using that same antiquing wax and just using this Waverly waxing brush that I got at Walmart, and I'm just going to go ahead and just apply it on all over this little bird. And then I'm going to go back in with some of this Varathane clear wax, and I'm going to wipe off a lot of that excess that just makes it look like a brown bird. And what this is going to do, I'm not going to go and rub into all those little detail areas. I'm just going to roll over the flat part of this, and this is just going to make all those little details pop and give it that aged antique look. And then I'm using that same exact technique on this hen on the nest, and oh, does that just make all these details pop. Just a little bit different look using that mineral underneath. I've given that wax enough time to dry and cure, and now I'm going to be removing the tape. So, oh, look at how that's already looking. And now what I'm going to need to do now is just go in and scrape any of the excess paint that may have got through the tape, and then get this cleaned off using some Norwex cleaning cloths. Now for these white pieces, I have some water distressing too. I want to pop out their wonderful details, and that is why I chose to use the chalk paint, so I could water distress. For me, I find this is the best way to get all those detailed areas to pop. So I'm just taking a wet wipe. I've got a bucket of water beside me, and then I just go to town and I'm not pushing down hard. I'm just letting that water do its job and remove that little bit of paint and showing those beautiful details underneath. Now for this wooden piece, it'll just be a little bit different. There's a little bit different way you can do wood, and so I'm just going in with some 220 sandpaper on all the edges on this piece. I will end up going back in and water distressing the middle of that sunflower, but for the rest of this box, yep, I'm just going to go in with the sandpaper around all the edges just to make that detail pop. For this metal organizer, I'm going to go in and I am just going to take that little rim, you see where that metal is turned, and I'm just going to water distress that. I'm going to give it an enamelware look. So there's a couple different ways you could do it. I could have gone ahead and painted the whole thing black and then went in and just painted the white face. But for this one, I chose to do it opposite. I chose to paint the whole thing white and then go back and distress these edges. So what I'm doing here is, if you notice, I'm using that water distress, but I also have a dry paper towel, because sometimes when I've used the same cloth over and over again and I'm rinsing it out in the water's kind of mucky. So it kind of leaves a gray film. So I'm just going back over with a dry paper towel just to take that little mucky water off to make sure that it's popping the black as it can. Now for the tier tray, I'm just going in and water distressing just the tips of this lace work, just to give it that little bit of high-end look. I've already went in and distressed anywhere the raised areas where the wood is in the middle, and then on the bottom and underneath it. But just for this lace work, I'm just going in and just ever so slightly letting some of that black show through. After I get all these pieces distressed the way that I want with the water, I need to make sure that they are dry, so I give them about an hour or so, and then I go in with some Rust-Oleum, the clear coat, and make sure that that chalk paint is sealed in. After my clear coat is good and dry, I go in with some Varathane finishing wax in the clear, just a rub on or rub off, and I know that my items are going to be good and secure. That white paint is going to be on there. Now I'm going to be stamping on this little sign, but I need to remove the tape that I protected the back and then sand off any of that sharp edges that happens as paint builds up along the tape. Now for this sign, I'm going to be doing the old farmhouse. So I've just got my typesetting alphabet letters from the IOD line, and then I'm just trying to space them out. I think my lowercase are going to fit the best on this little sign. Then I have this random other stamp set that I picked up at the thrift store. That's the perfect size to get all these to fit. I'm going to use my flexible mount to grab these off of that sign so I can get them all inked up. Now after I pick them up, I always like to go back through and just adjust them, making sure my spacing, making sure I find one of the lines on the flexible mount, and then I make sure that the bottom of the letter, not the bottom of the stamp, but the bottom of the letter is all lined up. That way that when I print it, I know that it's all in space. Yeah, don't go with the bottom of the stamp, go with the bottom of the letter. And then to get these all inked up, I'm just using that StazOn ink and just making sure that I've got it all applied to all the letters. And then the nice thing about being able to use one of these flexible mounts is that you can count your squares on either side to make sure that you're level. But once you have it down, don't raise your hand off of that. And I usually use my Cricut scraper, but I forgot it in my house, so I just had to try to get all these letters done with my hand. So now I'm on to those big bald candlesticks. Oh my gosh, these are just a neat little find. So I'm going in and I have this numbers set that I got off Amazon, and I'm going to be using some of those typesetting numbers also from the IOD. And this is just one of those I'm just making it up as I go kind of thing. So I just picked out some random numbers, and that's what I'm going to be attaching. I'm just going to take one of the stamps, one of the numbers, and then I needed the 2 different sizes because that one ball is really huge. So I'm starting off with the smaller, just a number 7, getting it all inked up, just using some masking tape to hold it, to tape it down, so once I get onto this round ball object, that I can just hold that tape's holding it in place, and then I can gingerly make sure that the ink is getting transferred onto that top ball. And I'm just working my way down. I've got the 57 on the next one, and then I just changed over to the typesetting numbers and just doing that same process. The numbers mean nothing, they're just random numbers. And I know my number 7 at the top is a little bit off, but that's just going to be that perfectly imperfect of a DIY. But wait, this is not finished yet. So now I've got my fan brush, I've got the Waverly antiquing wax, and yep, I am taking that fan brush in. I'm trying to go all the way into the top of the ball where they're all rotted together, and so I'm just going out a little bit here, and I'm just going to give it that aged look. So I'm not going to leave it this harsh brown. I'm just getting some of this antiquing wax on, and then I'm going to do that same thing like I did the birds and the hen of the nest, and going in with some of that clear natural wax and then just blending this in. Okay, what did you think of my thrift store flips? I was super excited, got a little ahead of myself of gluing that weather vane back together, but I don't know, well, mixed reviews on that, you know, they shared with me that it should have been free flowing, but then I was really hard to carry. So yep, I had already glued that by the time my thrift haul video had showed, and I just absolutely love those candlesticks. The big ball candlesticks, just absolutely love them. And I hope I have inspired you to look at thrift store finds, or even things that are laying around your house that you're just kind of like, I'm kind of tired of that. Let's make that over. So give me a quick comment and a like to let me know what your favorite item was. And thank you for being part of my YouTube family. And if this is your first time visiting my channel, hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you can know what I am up to. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.